Okay, share. Okay, let me show you my project written with React and Python. So let's go. Let me start the server first though. Class run. So, all right. Okay, basically, if you want to deploy your app, oh shit, address already in use. Yes, obviously. All right, it's already there. No, how the hell is already in use? 5,000, I think so. Okay, let's go. All right, so here's the website. So basically, it's a kind of like a dashboard to show the data. For example, the charts here, and you can read it here. So right now this website is not working properly because I took down the server. Only the front end is there. This UI only has the front end. There's no back end. The back end I had to run on my local machine here. Okay, and if you click to sign in and then dashboard, you can see all the charts here. So each of them, the chart here, you can move it around, right? You can move around, you can resize it, you can add more of it. For example, if I want to add a grocery and I want to see a bar chart, right? Submit, I can see more charts here. So these are front end stuff, right? You can move it around, you can resize it. They are on front end, but the data here is come from the back end side. So the back end is where we need to learn back end in order to to keep our data in a central place. For example, in a central place from somewhere in a central place. So every front end, every website, no matter where they are, they can call it. They can call those data and run it on the browser. So some of you guys can say, oh, okay, why don't we just store data on the local storage, right? So local storage only works on the client machine, right? So every client has different machine, and those data are available to different people, and they all have their own data. So the data is not seen, and they are not consistent for all the people, all the users. So we need somewhere to store all data, and we also have some additional logic. Let's call it, some people will call it business logic, but that term is very hard to understand, and that's bullshit to me actually. So let's call it application logic. So what it means is like it depends on what on who the user is, and we will show different data to that user, right? For example, I am Anqua here, and I have this piece of information, this piece of data, and only me have access to these information. So only me will see these kind of charts. Other people, they have their own data, and then they will see different charts, right? So that's the difference between front end and front end. So basically, other people will have the same menu here, the same layout, and they can all have the same function. They can add and remove database, and they can run it into charts, but the data is different. So I think this is a very clear example to let you know front end and back end. Other people can do the same thing I did, but they will see different things. That's it. Right, it's enough. Alright, this one I actually like this one. I got this one, this idea from my brother actually, from a brother company. And after I did it, I found out there's actually a company, a startup from Singapore actually do the same thing, but with much more data, much more functionalities, and that's why I had to drop it. Okay, and okay, that's enough. Let's go to the lab here. Today we're gonna build a to-do app with command line with our terminal. Okay, for the app we will have a couple of required filters, which is first we need to be able to add more to-dos to our app, right? We need to add to-do, and then we need to read on those to-dos. For example, if I type in a command, for example like this, list, not app.js, the list, we will see a list of to-dos, right? And if I want to delete it, I just type like this and the ID I want to delete. Exactly how we use the API in React app, but this time we're gonna use terminal, okay? And so here's the features. The user can create to-dos with any content, and obviously they need to have a status of complete or not, right? Also, user need to be able to read all the to-dos or specific to-dos. They can also delete or update or change the content of that to-do, the task, right? Also, this additional feature, they can delete them all. And obviously, if you want to do more, you can like filter the to-dos with the status. For example, only show me the to-do that is done or completed, or show me to-dos that is not completed. Right. Optional can delete on, yeah, this just optional. And you can think of other filter for your app, make it beautiful, make it more, has more function. So you're gonna show this one to your employer. Right. So our objective for this lab is like we need to understand the basic syntax for Node.js first. Right now it's not a web server, it's just a tool, a software that can run on a terminal. It's not a web server yet. Okay. So we can understand the basic of Node, and we understand the module system. So for example, which one is the core module, which one is the module we need to import to use, and which one we can define by ourselves. And also we need to, from this lab, we're gonna learn how to read the data from a file in our system. And also we learn how to write them. And obviously, this is the most important thing. We need to understand how the command lines work in our terminal. For example, we used to type something npm install, for example, moment, but we don't know how it works, right? We just type. People just tell us, copy this line and paste in your terminal. We don't know how it works behind the scenes. So after today's class, you're gonna understand it. That's enough, and let's jump straight into it. So what I'm doing here is not completely like exactly like how the steps in the lab is. It's a little bit different because I want to do it smoothly without switching back and forth. And inside the lab, it's very detailed for each step and what each step does and what's the additional documentation you need to read. But I'm not gonna show that in the lab during the demo. But after the demo, I will show you. Okay, so don't worry. All right, let's open our terminal. You can open your Explorer or the Finder in macOS. But for now, just I'm gonna use a terminal. All right. All right. cd demo. cd demo. Really? Okay. Now I'm gonna make a new directory. Let's call it demo to do. Okay, cd into that folder, and this is the command line that you're gonna run. npm init y. So you can do npm init as well, but let's see what happened here. If you do npm init, you need to type in some additional. Here's my mouse. Look at my cursor. You have to provide additional information about your app. For example, I'm gonna call this one to do, and it will ask a lot more. So okay, cannot contain capital letter, so it can be to do, and then it asks the version. So let's skip this one. We can have a command line npm init and then hyphen yes hyphen y, means like everything is default. So after you run this line, you're gonna have a file package.json with the content like this. So it's a very important file. So every Node.js application has its file. For example, in your React app, it's actually a Node.js application. It also have the package.json file in your React app, right? You should remember that. So now we open our code editor. Remember to go into your project folder. I saw a lot of people forgot about it, right? It's especially Daniel. You always forgot. Okay, go to this folder, demo to do. So this is the file that when you run npm init, you have this file. Now let's create another file called app.js, right? And let's try to run this file on our terminal. So I'm gonna open my terminal here. So I'm gonna console log hello world. The first line is gonna be hello world, and this is how we run our file app.js. We have two words here. The first argument is node. Node is a application. App.js is the name, the path to the name of the file, the path to the file that we want to run. For example, right now we are inside the root folder here, and we want to run the app.js file. So we do node app.js, and I expect to see a console log here. Okay, you did see it, right? So next step, let's plan ahead for our application. We want to build a to-do app, right? First, we need to, first step, read on the command from the terminal, right? That's the most important one. So that's we're gonna do app.js, and then we're gonna add something. Okay, that's the command that we're gonna type in our terminal. But to do that, we need to like instruct, tell our program how to read those arguments. Okay, and here's the syntax. I will show you how, but later. But now let's plan ahead what we're going to do. Number 2. So after we read all the commands, we need to do something based on those commands. Do something based on the command, right? For example, I'm going to show you how to add or read the to-dos. Okay, and to do that, we need somewhere, we need somewhere to store our files, right? Store those data somewhere. Third step, somewhere. And obviously we need something to some functions to read or write the data. Cool. So here's the 4 basic steps I'm going to show you. So you need to understand the flow here. 4 and 3 is interchangeable, so it doesn't matter the order. But first we need to read on the commands first, and we will do anything based on the commands. And for example, here we have add and remove and read. So in order to let's go with read first. In order to read, we need to we need to know where the data is coming from, and then we read that data from the file. Okay. So any question about these 4 steps? Oh shit, I can hardly see. Oh, sorry. Sorry, Bao, I didn't see the message. It's on a different screen. But okay, are you clear with these 4 steps right now? Type 1 if you are done. Step 4 is define the function. Yes, it's kind of like a function that we're going to use a lot, like in order to read and write the files. So everything we do, for example, we add something, right? We need to read and write. We want to read to do, we need to read it. We need to edit something, we also need to read and write. That's the very basic functions that we're going to use. I couldn't follow, I'm watching. Yeah, so right. So do you have a rough idea of 1, 2, 3, and 4, right? Do you? A rough idea? That's what we are gonna do in the next couple of minutes. My sense so far? Yes, Daniel. Cool. If you if you're confused, just tell me so I can explain it right away. So don't make it so late. It's very hard to follow. So step 4 is define constant. Yes, we can do it in step 3 though, but I'm gonna leave it in step 4. Step 3 is very simple. We need a file to store data. That's it. It's very simple. So 3 and 4 can go together. Is it clear? Khai? I'm gonna ask some people who are quiet. Yes, Khai. Right. If you're clear, let's go. All right, let's go. No one asked. Okay, first step, we need to read all the commands from the terminal. Let me show you how. I'm gonna do console log. There's something called process.r here. And let's see what is process.r. I don't know how to spell it, but R argument and the V argument value, I think. All right, so we can do something like this, not, and then run the file. When you run the file, you will see the results here. Let me delete the console hello world. You will see the result here, which is an array, right? This process.r is an array, and that array has two elements, sorry. And the first element is the path to node. So node here is a command, right? It's an alias. It will link you to this file. If you click on this one, you will go to a folder which has the file node.exe execute, I think. No, in macOS it's not execute, but it's something like it's bad bin, I don't know. And then the second element is gonna be the path, the direct path, absolute path to your file. So right now, let's see. Right now I'm storing the app.js on this path, right? It looks the same. Cool. So we can use its syntax process.r to read on the arguments inside our command. So let's say I'm gonna type something like add to do. Let's see what we have inside the array here. All right. So we have 4 values. The first one the same, the node. The second one is the name of the file, right? The third one is a string, also a string, but this string has no path because our system doesn't recognize it. It's just a simple string app, and this one is just a simple string to do. So based on this result, we are done with this. Okay, let's check it. All right, so now the next step, we will do something based on those commands. For example, if I want to say not app.js, say reading, okay, and that will run a console log, say hello Khoa, hello user, like that. And to do that, we're gonna use if else. Very simple. If process.app, and we want to target the 0, 1, 2, the second index, not the second index, index number 2 is which is the third index, right? No, it's second. Yeah, the third index, but the index is 2. If it equal to, for example, reading, okay, I'm gonna say console log hello user, right? Let's see what happened here. Not app.js reading. All right, we can see hello user. So I'm gonna delete this one to make it less confusing. Okay, again. Okay, hello user. So how do I make it goodbye user then? If I say not app.js and then goodbye. Juris, yeah. Are you there? Juris. How do I make it so I type a command goodbye, the console log will show goodbye user?
I just got in. I'm not really following yet.
All right.
Just change. I guess we do another if statement for logout. Instead of greeting, we do logout, and we do a different string.
Exactly. So here we can use if else, right? So else if process equal to goodbye, and then we will console log goodbye user. It's simple, right? So let's try it. Okay, it does run goodbye user. My spelling is so bad. Right, now let's delete it, and the next we already did the half of this, right? So what if I want to add to do, type a command add and then to do there. How do I add to do? So what's the process of adding a new to do? First we need to, for example, let's go with a simple solution first. We're gonna render the to do that we're gonna add, right? So this one I'm gonna change this one add. Just keep this one goodbye, and I'm gonna console log process dot add, and then we want to target the next argument, right? Let's see. Node app.js add have dinner. This one has to be a string. Have dinner. Okay, actually I have dinner here. I console log app have dinner right here. So why do I have a string here, a double quotation mark here, but here I don't have it? So the terminal will understand it like this. So if you have a space without quotation, if you have a space, it will understand that, okay, that is gonna be a next argument, right? If you have a quotation like this, it means that you're gonna route this one to a string, and this string is one single argument. If you don't have this string, it's gonna be like this. Let's remove the string. So you will see only have locked out here, have, right? So dinner is gonna be another argument after have without a quotation mark, right? Cool. Right, next step, we need to the data, right? We can console log it, but we don't know how to add it or read it. So here I'm gonna add, and then here I'm gonna call it list. In list we will do something later. Ask to do later. So next step, we need somewhere to store our data. For now, we are not using a real database, but we'll use a JSON file to store the data, just like how we did it with the I forgot the project in React. Somewhere that we store the data inside a JSON file. I forgot. So basically, indeed, maybe. Oh yeah, I think so. Yeah, indeed. So why do we pick a JSON file? The reason is it's very similar to MongoDB. MongoDB are just JSON. Not JSON, it's kind of like objects, and JSON is an object. So it's very similar to MongoDB. That's why we pick JSON. All right. Let's see. So I'm gonna create a file called database.json. Very simple. In the root folder, there's nothing else. Database JSON file, and let's see how we can write data and read data from there, right? So right now it's gonna be a list, an array. It's not a list. List is another term for different language. So it's an array. Why is it an array? Can somebody tell me? Somebody tell me why is it an array? Daniel, you're following, but I want to ask, why do I pick an array? It can be anything else, right? It can be a string, can be number, it can be object, but I want to choose array. And what is the reason? Daniel, are you there? It's an array. No, we can use an object, but the reason why I chose array here is because we're gonna have a lot of to-dos, right? It to-do is an object, and we're gonna have a collection of to-dos. Collection means here, and you will see that term in MongoDB, but basically collections is an array. We're gonna have an array of to-dos. So our data later on will look like this, and each of them is a to-do. Okay, something like that. So that's why I chose array. Let's go with an array first. Okay, nice. Let's choose an array, and the next step, we already have the database, but how do we read and write the file from the database? In the next couple of class, you will have a tool called MongoDB. It will help you to read and write from the database, but right now we don't have that yet, so we need to define our functions on our own. So it's a very simple syntax. It's not very simple, but it's a built-in. Yeah, it's a built-in library called fs. So here I'm gonna do fs equal to require fs. So if you wonder what fs is, you can go to this website, npm.js.com. Okay, fs is file system. Fs. No, it's not here. Node.js. Go to Node.js because this one is a built-in library. It's not on npm. It's inside Node.js itself. So you open the docs here. Did I click it? And you click on this version. This version is a stable. You long time support or something. So click on that. We're gonna use version 12, and you will have a lot of packages, the built-in packages here, which have the first one is gonna be fs. We're gonna find file system. Fs stands for file system. Okay, it's here. Okay, and in order to read the file, we're gonna use read file scenes. So we're gonna use this function, this method, fs.read file scenes, and inside that there's two elements. The first one is gonna be the path to your. I'm showing you how to read the documentation. So in the future you can do it on your own, because the most important skill for a developer is to read the documentation. You will encounter a lot of different libraries, and there's no end to them, and you need to understand how to use it by reading the docs. And here's how you read the docs. Okay, so this the first argument. The second argument, the square brackets here means it's optional. You don't have to give an argument like that. You don't have to pass the arguments, but it's optional. And the path here is a must. It's the required element. So we have two elements. The first is the path. The second is the options. We're gonna use this one. We just use path. It's a string. It can be either a string, a buffer, a URL, or integer. So let's try to how they see it. Okay, they use like this: file.read file scenes, and the path to the file that we want to read. So it's gonna be like this. I'm gonna define two functions. The first is reading, let's call it load data, means reading the data from the database. And the second function is going to be save data. Okay, save for read and write data. Okay, first one, load data first, and then we save the data after we do something else. So I'm going to call, it's going to be fs and read it. So I'm going to call data equal to f file scenes, and the first argument, the requirement has to be the path to our file here. So how do we get that path? We start at the root folder. So if we want to read that file, just simply database.json. Okay, so that's it. Right, now the question is, if you have a folder here, my data, and then you move the database inside the data here, so what the string here should be? Hưng Tạ. What should I change?
Can you repeat the question?
Okay, before that I have the database outside here, right? So I can use this string to locate my database.json file. But now if I move my file inside this folder, as you can see, right? I move it inside data. So what should I change here?
So you should dot slash data slash.
Exactly. Yes. Good. Thank you. So let's console log the data and see what we have, right? Console log data, and then we can run the function load data. This is just a test. We want to call this function right away when we run the file. So I'm gonna run the file and see what we see here. Okay. Bam. All right. We see something. It's a buffer. What the hell is a buffer? Basically, our machine doesn't understand the will understand the file as a binary, a set of binary. It doesn't understand the file as a string, but it understands it as a binary. So we need to do one more step to convert the binary into something that we can read, right? Something readable to human. So that thing is gonna be so I'm gonna change the name here. Let's call it buffer, right? And then console log. It's not no more. Const data. You want to stringify it, buffer to string. And now let's console log data. So step by step, we understand step by step. Okay, now we actually see an array, right? Let's go. But it's not done yet. It's not done yet. There's one more line you need to do. One more step. This array is actually a string. Let's try. Let's see it. Let's see. Type of data. It's be a string. Okay, it's a string. An array is a string. What the hell? That's weird, right? So how do you make that string to something that can be usable by our JavaScript code? You already did it before a couple of times, I think. Yeah. So I'm gonna ask this question to someone who doesn't have a picture. Bình Nguyễn. Yes. Bình. Hello Bình, are you there? Hello. Bình ơi. Bình ơi. Hello Bình. Oh my god, he's not here, even though he's online, but he's not listening at all. Hello Bình. You there? This step you already did it before in your JavaScript exercise, also React exercise. I'm gonna ask Emily then. Emily. Hello Emily. Hello. So here on line 15 here, I changed the buffer into a string, right? And I console log it. I can see a string. An array is a string. That's weird. Yes. Do you need to change it to a JavaScript object? Yes. And how do I do that? Parse. It's kind of parse, but it's not parse. It's something called stringify. Yes, stringify. So let's do this one. It's gonna be JSON.stringify, and then we have data in there. Okay, now we want to check the type of this value. Let's see. Okay, it's gonna be another string. That's weird. So it's gonna be JSON path. You were right. So let's say JSON path. So it's an object now. It's a JavaScript object. Now we can work with that object now, right? So the purpose of this whole function is gonna be load the file and return an object or an array. An array is actually an object. Load the file and read the file and then return a JavaScript object so that we can continue to work on that. Okay, so now instead of console log, I'm gonna return it. My son heard. All right. All right, but it's okay. Actually not, but it's okay. So we will return an object, a JavaScript object, right? And then let's see what happened here. Load data, console log. All right. I expect to see an empty array. That's correct. So do you have like any question about this function or the steps here? I think you need to ask. Okay, so then pass one more time. All right, so we have 3 lines of code here, right? What's the first line here does? What does it do? So it's gonna be this line is to read the file from our system. Okay. So there's one required element inside the fs.read file since it is the path to the file. Okay. And the second line is that this function, this method will return a buffer. A buffer is like a set of binary code to understand so that the machine can understand the file, but we cannot understand it because we are human. We cannot understand the machine code, so we need something to stringify, translate into a string. So basically this line is to it's not translate, it's kind of like convert a buffer to a string, right? It's a built-in method. And how do we know that? How do I know that? Read the documentation. Buffer. Okay, or you can even Google like how JavaScript, right? How to convert buffer. Here. Not yet, buffer to string method. Okay, very simple. But you need to understand the process. That's why we are learning the concepts. We are not learning the language, but we are learning the concepts. Right? Where am I? All right, here we go. Okay, back to this one. We want to convert the buffer into strings so that we can understand. But JavaScript cannot work with a string like that. So then we need to pass string to object, JS object, right? So that's why we need 3 steps. Is it clear, Daniel? Yeah, okay. These 3 steps are the same with any other languages, maybe, yeah, but you can like skip one of them, but basically you need these 3 steps in any other language. Okay, that's why we need to learn the concept. Right, I'm gonna move on to save the data. Are you alright? Anyone want to stop me? Joris? Can you follow? Alright, nice. And Bun, how about you? After you going to toilet? I can't see bracket at the end. What do you mean at the end? Which line? Here. I can see an array at the end. Do you mean the console log? Okay, first thing you need to make sure that you have an array inside your database first. Right, you need to make sure you have an array here first. So if I change this one to something, okay, and I run the file again, I need to see here. Yes, I see that, right? So if you want to see an array, it has to be an array first. So if you want to see array, yeah, but for now we don't have those objects yet. So later on we will have some element inside an array, but right now we don't have any element inside the array. For example, okay, if I have something like this, let's see. Let's say I have to do and go have dinner and comma status. I'm gonna call it status here, but in the lab I'm gonna call it complete, right? Incomplete. Okay, let's see what we have here. We should see an array of one object. All right, cool. This is kind of like fetching a by the system. Yes, kind of like that's how we got it. Actually, yeah, we are learning step by step how to build them. Cool. Right. Ben, do you have any question? Because you can go into toilet. It's weird, not on my empty, but I put string inside array only. Maybe you have a different thing, but as long as it's work and you can see something in the file, it's okay, I guess. All right. The format is different depend on your terminal, I think. I'm not so sure about it. I will look at it later. All right. So now if I want to save data instead of loading the data, after I load the data, I want to do something and then I save it. So let's say I want to. So right now we have the load data here already. So I'm gonna use list here to render this to do. All right. So I'm gonna do this function. We already have load data, right? So I'm gonna call this function, and this function is gonna return an array for us. Cool. It's gonna return an array for us. So I'm gonna call to do equal to load data here. So now I can remove this line. So I call to do equal to load data. Now I want to show the to dos. So I'm gonna do something called let's do a for loop. For what? I'm gonna introduce you a new syntax. You don't have to do it this way. You can use a normal for loop, but this is how people would use it. For let right, we don't have id here. Let's go and add another key called id. I'm sorry. Let's add another key called id. Right. So basically we will have another key called id and then to do and then status. What's wrong with it? All right. So this is how our JSON file look like, right? ID number 1, to do is to go have dinner, and the status is incomplete. And I want to in React you're gonna use map, right? But here let's not abusing map, because map always return an array. If you use map, it's quite slow compared to a normal for loop. So we can use a normal for loop, or you can even use something like this for let to do comma id to do comma status in to do's. Right, magic. And I'm gonna console log them. ID comma to do and then status. Alright, let's go. Oh shit, it's a list. No, list. I forgot the command list. Okay, unify. All right, so something wrong here. Load data. Let's cancel out to do's. Why is underscore? Oh, off. Oh shit, off, not in. Off. Off. That's why. Okay, off. Thank you, Bao. For off. This is called for off, right? So this is like you want to call ID to do and status inside an element of the array to do's. So we have the first element. The first element is 1, the ID 1, the value is go ahead dinner, and the status is complete. So this way it's faster. I think it's the fastest one. I think, yeah, easy, even easier to call compared to for each, and much faster compared to map. So let's use this one if you're familiar with it. If you don't, just your normal for loop for let I something blah blah blah. Right. Okay, next step. This is just a syntax, so you should know it or not. If you don't know it, you can use a normal for loop for now. Okay, next step, I want to add to do here. So let's call function add to do, and inside add to do we have 2 arguments, right? The first one is going to be the to do, and the second one is going to be the status. So we have 2 elements, comma, and we have another element called for. Right now we don't have that yet. I'm going to copy that and paste it in this one, console.log. Okay, let's see if I run the command add, and then I provide the first argument is to do, and the second argument is the status, and see what happened here. Add, and then go to sleep, and then true, false, complete is false. See what happened. Right, we actually see on line 24 here, we see go to sleep, and then the status is false. Right. Next step, we want to add a function so that it will like write the data into the database.json here. Cool. And that's why we need a function like that. Let's comment out this one and have this function. In order to do this, we need something that can save the data, and here's a syntax. Can you explain why we use index? The reason why we need to use the index is that whenever we run a command like this, right? In order to read it, we need to use something called process.arg here, and this process.arg will return you an array. It will return an array, and then we need to target each element inside that. So right now you're gonna target element number with index 3, which is the 4th argument, 1, 2, 3, 4. So the 4 is going to be this one, and the 5th one is going to be false, as you can see here from the logs, right? Is it clear? Yours? So basically process will return array of argument in the command. It's like so process.arg will return an array of argument. So this is what we saw at the very beginning. Yes. What we that's why we do step by step. Directory, what's the container of directory? It's the path. It's the path to the file. The node package is the path. Yeah. So if it understands the command, it will link you to that path. If it doesn't understand the command, it will return a string for you. Here is a string. Not here. Here. Actually, this one is also a string, but it's linked. It's a path to the file. And this one just a normal simple string, add and to do. Okay, back to the problem. We need to save data, and also we need something called fs.write file scenes. So it's going to be like this. file since here. Okay. So same thing, open the docs and look at this. So here you need two arguments. Two arguments are required, and the option is optional. So the first one is gonna be the string to the file, and the second argument is gonna be your data. Okay. When you read it, you only need the location of the file. You don't need the data, right? Because you are reading it. But if you want to write something, you need the location of where you're writing and the data you want to write. So you need two arguments, the file and the data. Right, so here we have the string. We can copy the string here, right, and paste here. Copy that, paste here. All right, and the second one is going to be the data that we want to write. For example, right now, let's say I want to write go to sleep. For example, just hard code it, go to sleep and see what happened. And I'm going to call this save data. All right, so I'm going to copy this one and see what happened here. I'm going to run this file, and this file going to execute this function, and this function going to save to our database with a value of go to sleep. Just simple demonstration. And run the file. Okay, now we can see it. Oh, not really. Save data registration file. Oh, I haven't saved it, I think. Yeah, okay. Okay, here we go. The data is changed. It changed from this data. Look at it. For now, we have an array, right? If I run the file, the data, the content of this file changed because I run this command. I write the string here to my files here. But as you can see, something wrong here. It's actually correct, but let's say right now we want to write a new to-do. We don't want to write this one. We want to write a new to-do. For example, if I want to write something like this, id 2 and then to-do go to sleep, and then the first one is going to status false. Okay, let's see what happened. Original, when I run the file, it changed. Object. It doesn't understand the data type that we want to, the content of the data that we want to write into JSON object, because we are not writing a string, we are writing a JavaScript object. So the opposite of this, we need to convert the object into a string. Yes, now we need stringify. Yeah, exactly. So if I do a JSON.stringify here, right? So basically, I'm stringify an object, a JavaScript object into a string, and let's see what happened here. I'm gonna go back, save it, run the file again. Bam! Now it's an object now. Cool. Okay. That's an achievement, but what happened here? Okay, I write the wrong one. It's not an object, it should be an array, right? It should be an array. It should be an array. Cool. I make a mistake there. It should be an array. So go back and see what happened here. Run again. Okay, it is indeed an array, but now we lost the first to do. So how do we like retain the first to do and then pushing one more to do to the array? Make a copy. Yeah, Khan is so eager, so let's her do it here. How? You can turn on your mic. So how are we gonna do it?
I think maybe like the same. We will do dot and the data, and then we will push. I think so. I don't know.
All right.
It's not right.
It's kind of correct. The idea is correct. In writing, you add to file? Add to file. What do you mean add to a file? You cannot directly add to a JSON file. You can only not override the content. Yes. So I'm asking how do we do that? Yeah, we don't want to reply. We don't want to lose on the old contents. We want to keep the old content and the new one together, right? I'm talking to Koi. Yeah, he talks.
Yeah,
So the first thing we need to read the data first, and then keep the data, and then push the new data into the old data, and then write it again, write to our file again. Okay, so that's the whole process. So here we need to read the existing data, okay, and then make some change. Cool. And then save it. So this part we save it. So now instead of hard coding something like this, I'm gonna call this one to do. So we want to no, it's called data. All right. So we have two more steps to do here. Two more steps. Let's say I'm gonna call this one add to do, and then right, okay. This one is gonna be a new to do, right? We want to save a new to do to an array of to do. So how do we read the existing data? It's very simple. We already done it. Just call this function. Const let data equal to this function. So right now we will have the old data here by calling the function. We will have the old data from the files. So I'm gonna go back this one. Okay. And okay. Next step, we want to make some change. What change do we want to make here? Daniel? What change do we want to make here? Add your new command. How do I add a new command? Not really content. How do I add a new to do in code, not a human word? How do I add one? Right. So can cast something? Yes. So in order to know how to code it, you need to understand. You need to know the data type here first. So what do you expect to see here? General a JSON object. No, that's wrong. Completely wrong. A JavaScript array. It should be a JavaScript array, and from here I want to see a JavaScript array. Existing data, yes, and it should be a JavaScript array. Let's see, console log data. Okay, so right now this function doesn't do anything. It's not gonna do anything. Run it. You will see a log here, right? This is an array, a JavaScript array. Yes. Make a new to do and push in data, right? Cool. So we understand this kind of data. So this one I expect to see a JavaScript array of to-dos. Okay. Next step, we want to do something like data.push, and we want to push a new to-do inside that array. We already have this array. We want to push a new data inside the array. Okay. Push to do. After we push, like Hưng Ta and Khoi Phan has said it. After we push, now we save it back. Right. So I'm gonna delete this line. And now next step, we are missing to do here. We pass the argument to do here, we call it, but we haven't passed anything when we call it here. So let's try with a new to do id to do go have another go to sleep, and then status false. Okay, so now our data is like this, right? I'm gonna format it, and then I'm gonna run this command, this file, right? You can see we have an array of 2 items inside. That's what we want, right? Okay. Right now, let's not worry about ID. ID, I will let you to do it yourself. Yeah, I will let you think. So I'm gonna remove ID here as well. The ID here, I'm gonna let you think on how to deal with that. Okay, back to this one. Now we have save data is another object. So if I don't want to console log, I want to call the function save data, and we have project R index number 3, and then project R index number 4. Let's see what happened. It's not gonna happen because this one require an object. To do here should be an object, right? So how do we do that? We have 2 options. The first thing is we can either customize how we pass an argument here, right here, but let's not do that because it's very like weird, you know. I want to make this function as simple as possible. I want to reuse save data as many times as possible. So I think this format is right for this function. We want to create another function called add to do, and this function is gonna like customize. It's not really customize, but it would change a little bit of how we're gonna pass in the save data here. So instead of calling it outside, I'm gonna call it inside the function, and this one is gonna be yes. We have 2 arguments, to do body and to do status, right? I'm afraid I lose someone, but let me finish one and let's go back right after that, right? So to do body is gonna be to do. I try to name it differently so so you don't get confused. Status is gonna be to do status, right? This function gonna call save data and pass in 1 object. Inside the object we have 2 properties. The first one to do, the second one status, as we have here to do and status. I'm gonna go back. Okay, delete this one. Right, cool. And here I'm gonna call add to do instead of my save data, and let's see what happened here. I'm gonna node.js add something. I'm gonna add go to sleep and then false. I'm not gonna run it yet, but let's take a look at the original data. Okay, if I hit enter here, I expect I will see an array of 2 to-dos, right? That's what we want. And okay, do I lose someone here? Is anyone lost there? If you're kind of like confused, just ask me, yeah, until you are very clear on this. Anyone? Did you call add to do somewhere? Yes, I did here. Here. I'm sorry, I refer to have the black color every time, everywhere. So I don't want to see on the colorful methods or something. I refer black like this. So I'm calling the function here add to do, and I pass 2 arguments. The first is the content of the to do. The second is the status of the to do. And in here I change it into 1 object and then execute this function. So process of 3 equal to do body. Yes. Yes, correct. All right, Sang is very quiet. Are you okay? Sang ơi, hello Sang. Hello. Ding ding. I want to see the list of people. Are you there, Sang? Oh my god, people! What are you doing? Alright, Juris, is it okay, Juris? Okay, question from Juris. My session file is an array. How can I change it into an object? Why do you want to change it? Why do you want to change it to an object, Juris? The data type is has to be consistent, right? If it is an array, it should be an array all the time. You cannot change it to an object, and you have it. No, Juris, it's still an array, but it's like it's show differently, right? It's still an array here. So you can right click on this and you can choose format document. Try it. Is it okay? Cool. Right, if you're okay with it, I will let you have your free time to repeat what I did there, and then you can do a couple of things based on what we have already learned. And then after this, I'm gonna go back after 30 minutes, I think, about in 30 minutes, we will come back and do something else. So right now, as you can see, using if else here is not so optimized, I would say, because what if the user doesn't provide the argument number 4 here, so your app's gonna break, right? And it's not good, and you have to handle a lot of if else inside your code, which is very ugly. So we're gonna use something called a library called YArgs. It's a very famous one, so we are gonna use that in the second half of our lecture, our demo. But for now, I will let you have like 30 minutes to work this on your own to understand it, and then if you have question, ask me before we move on to the next part. Okay? Are you cool? Or do you want me just go on and finish everything? That's gonna be a lot for you right now. So I think you should practice this one on your own. Are you guys okay with this? Yes, okay. Let's go back in 30 minutes, right? Okay, it's gonna be how do you say this? 2:10. Okay, let's go back at 2:10. All right, so I'm not gonna stop this one. I need to upload this view movie. Yeah, okay. What the hell?